Alright guys, and now we want to talk about sacrificing in chess. So the last video I did was on a gambit, and what a gambit is a sacrifice of a pawn. But sacrifices can also cost you a bit more and can also give you a bit more than just some compensation. So in this example that we have on the board, white will have much more than some compensation for a pawn, but almost mating compensation. So he will get a checkmate because of a queen sacrifice that we're gonna see today. So right now, if you look at the position, white is much better, definitely, because of those amazing bishops. It's actually a game of Spassky, who was a world champion, when he was playing against a grandmaster by the name of Holmov. And Holmov was kind of squeezed back. All his pieces are on the back rank. And when all your pieces are that passive, you give your opponent a chance to be aggressive, and you give your opponent so much space that he can do whatever kind of attack he wants, which is exactly what Spassky did here. You see, white's pieces right now can get closer to this guy, and when they are working together in one fist, they can finally reach the king. So right now, if you look at all the white pieces and we ask, which one should we move? Well, clearly this bishop is perfect because there isn't a more perfect square for it to go on. It's aiming at the black king, and it's untouchable because it's so far away from these black guys who are basically doing nothing. Now, if you look at the rooks, we can try to trade off a rook and then bring the other one in, but why don't we keep both rooks on to keep for the attack later on? So the bishop is doing great as well. If you put him on bishop e4, for example, he may get hit a bit later on, whether with a knight or a pawn. So it's better right now to keep him on g2 to protect the king and the pawn on h3. The queen needs to come in, so the queen wants to go somewhere on g5 and the king, but right now the knight is in the way. That's why we need to move the knight. So knight h5. Black actually decides to trade rooks himself in order to get less attackers on the board. So he's hoping that white won't have enough pieces. And then he plays h6, and the point of h6 is to avoid queen to g5. Now we can't play that anymore, and that's what white was trying to do. So black figured out white's idea and stopped it. He read the mind of Spassky. But that didn't really help him very much because it's not an active move. With pieces like that, you know something's gonna go wrong. And when your pieces are better than your opponent's pieces, and clearly white's pieces are, then you can start looking for sacrifices and tactics as soon as you get to the opponent's king side. So right now, white was looking, and finally he found a beautiful sacrifice. The point of a sacrifice is not just to be, something spectacular, some fireworks that everybody can admire, but the point is to reach a certain target, erase a defender off the board, achieve a certain goal in our attack. And that's why white says, I will sacrifice the queen, a whole queen, 9 points for 1 point, just to open up this king. So we are opening up this diagonal. It's clearing a diagonal for the bishop. It's breaking black's roof. And it's also opening up the square for the white knight, which will be very happy to jump in there. You see, if black doesn't take, because we should always consider what if they don't accept the sacrifice, that's okay. The bishop will just come and wait, and then checkmate will follow with knight f6 next move. That's why black is forced to take. And now we'll talk about what's so good about a sacrifice. Well, first of all, the opponent is shocked. Hopefully he didn't see it coming, and even if he did, he's in a state of, trauma. He doesn't understand what just happened there. Wow, how did he give up a whole piece just like that? And now, oh no, my king is under attack. He's really exposed. Now I'm really scared. So you put him under pressure to defend very carefully. Sometimes there is no way to defend, as was the case in this position. But even if there is a way to defend, it's always much easier to attack than to defend, because even if I miss one move in the attack, I may get a slightly worse position with some chances, but if he misses one move in defense, he's just gonna get mated like next move. So that's why it's easier to attack. And even though we sacrifice material, we're hoping to either win the material back or to get more for it, such as checkmate. Don't be scared to just win the material back with a little interest. For example, we sacrifice a queen and we win a queen and a pawn. Uh, as long as you get something more and then you can win the end game. Don't feel like you have to checkmate this black king. To be honest, right now there is no checkmate on the black king because the knight and bishop is not enough to do the job, even with the help of our friend the other bishop. But it's definitely enough to win the material back, which is what Spassky calculated when he did the whole sacrifice. First, the knight comes in and says hi. The black king goes away. We say thank you for the bishop. Now I have a pawn on the bishop. And by the way, I'm setting up a windmill. So I can actually go back and forward as many times as I want. Because the king will have to go back and forward. It's a type of special tactic where you can spin the windmill, take everything in the knight's spectrum, in the knight's scope, and just pick up everything and keep checking. So we go here, we check, we go here, we check. So I'll probably cover it in a lesson later on about windmills. In this example, black had to go back and white said thank you very much. I don't even need your queen right now. A lot of people think, oh, we should take the queen, right? But if you count the material after, for example, knight takes b8, rook takes b8, it's actually not so clear at all. We're up a pawn, and we do have the bishop pair against black's bishop and knight, but it's not so clear, especially if black manages to open up white's queen side and then get into the picnic table. It's not so clear at all whether Spassky could win. So Spassky says, maybe I have something better. Maybe I don't have to take. Maybe I will just invade on your back ring, attack the queen, attack the bishop, and maybe I will checkmate you because right now, if black just did a random move and ran away with the queen, then there would follow check. The king has to go here, only move. Then we bring in everyone, and those bishops show what they're capable of. Check. The black pawn has to be sacrificed, followed by checkmate. So that's what could have happened. Instead, black realized he needed to somehow stop the queen from taking the bishop, and he gives up the queen a second time while sacrificing the knight. It's creative, but it doesn't do the job because white just says thank you for the knight. And now my knight's protected. I'm opening up the bishop and his scope, and I also have a passed pawn that will be scary, as we'll find out next move. So we don't have to take the queen because we still attack checkmate with checkmate ideas. We still have rook takes f8, and we can still take the queen next move. If the queen decides to take the rook, we'll take the queen later on, once again with interest. We always want to get something more than what we came with. So if I sacrifice the queen, I want a queen and another queen, for example. So maybe right now we push the pawn, and if he's not careful, we will queen the pawn. For example, right now black may play rook to c8. I'll give him a little check. Then the king goes away. I'll play bishop to b7. He'll take my knight. I queen. And then after he captures, I want a whole piece. With a whole piece, I'm pretty sure we can win this endgame. So black actually said queen to a7. Please don't take my queen, and I'll still do an x-ray defense of the bishop, so you don't have checkmate. And after queen a7, the last move was c7. The point being that you can't take the pawn. If you dare take the pawn, I will simply take the rook, but there is even something better yet. So we have all these checks, and actually after queen takes c7, there will be this check. The king will go away. We'll play knight d5 check with the bishop. And when the king goes away, we pick up the queen and say thank you very much. So no matter what he did, he would actually lose right now. If he took the rook, we would first take the rook back. So the king would have to go away somewhere. We pick up the rook with check. And after he goes away, very soon we will get a queen, actually next move. And with our extra 2 pieces, I'm sure Spassky, the world champion, could finish off this endgame. So no matter what black does after c7, he loses, and that's why he resigned in this position after being so shocked by white's queen takes h6 sacrifice. The good thing about a sacrifice is you're forcing the opponent to do something. It's a forcing move. It's not asking, it's forcing. That's what you should always try to do. The opponent has no time to show his chess brilliancy because we are forcing him to do the moves we want him to do. For example, take our queen. So guys, when you think a sacrifice is worth it, so you either checkmate or win your material back, go for it and shock your opponent and create problems while putting him under pressure. If you're not so sure, then you should really calculate and make sure, because remember, if we just sacrifice in any given position and our sacrifice doesn't work, no matter how cool it may look like, then you're going to an endgame down material and you'll probably lose. So don't do sacrifices just for the sake of them. Do them if you think they work and if they achieve something.